This is Officer Manley.
You shouldn't be worried about Officer Rochelle because she didn't do anything wrong. You did. So now we can look up this policy right here.
Welcome to the John Ligato Show. I'm John Ligato. In this show, I promise to prove. Wait a second. I'm not going to prove it, but the famous Long Island auditor, Sean Reyes, will prove that the whole scam of I want a supervisor is bogus and not required by any police department.
I want your sergeant out here. Call him out here. Call your sergeant out here.
Let me talk to your lieutenant. Let me talk to your lieutenant.
Thank you, sir.
Let me speak to your lieutenant.
You know what? I want to see your supervisor. I want a supervisor. I'm asking you for a supervisor. I want to see a supervisor.
Okay, I don't need to get.
Call me a supervisor. I'm asking you for a supervisor.
Okay, and I'm telling you no.
I want a supervisor. I'm not getting out of the car. I'm afraid for my life. You have a weapon. I don't.
Every auditor wants a supervisor, and they all claim that every police department has a policy requiring a supervisor if requested. That ain't so.
Can you call a supervisor?
Nope.
You're here on a scene.
No, I don't have to call a supervisor.
That's your policy to call a supervisor.
No, if you need to call a supervisor, you can call a police department.
Listen, there's no need for you to act like that, all right? There's no need.
Okay.
Again, you should learn from your chief and learn a little bit of de-escalation and learn how to treat people.
Sean.
Great.
Sean, if you need to call a supervisor,
why don't you call one? That's your policy.
I don't have to call one.
That is your policy to call. When a member of the public asks to speak to a supervisor, you should call a supervisor. That's what you should do.
I'm not.
Why are you being difficult for it?
Well, I mean, why are you're at my cruiser?
Yeah, because you're a public servant and I'm asking you to serve me with the CAD number of this call.
Call the department and get it yourself.
Call supervisor, please.
Call the department, get yourself.
Call supervisor, please.
No, thank you. Have a good day.
Call supervisor, please.
All right.
Okay, now the Long Island auditor, who is known far and wide, from the mountains to the seashores, from Earth to Mars.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way they know who I am all the way out here. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, how'd you know my name? That's pretty cool, man. How'd you know? Am I that famous?
You're not famous.
Am I that famous?
I don't know you.
So here we have our beacon of truth, the Long Island auditor, Sean Reyes, who will show us how they, the auditors, use language to twist guidelines, policies, regulations, and laws.
Okay, first things first. If you watched this video in its entirety, I truly appreciate you, and I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Officer Manley.
This is Officer Manley.
You shouldn't be worried about Officer Rochelle because she didn't do anything wrong. You did. So now we can look up this policy right here. So I did a FOIA request for the policy of the Florence Police Department on-scene supervisor. Now, if we read right here, it says purpose, to establish a directive describing the circumstances requiring the on-scene presence of a patrol supervisor. The scope, this procedure shall apply to all Florence Police Department personnel.
Whoa, Sean, yo. Notice how Sean conveniently skips over Section C, procedure. Let's watch this.
So I did a FOIA request for the policy of the Florence Police Department on-scene supervisor. Now, if we read right here, it says purpose, to establish a directive describing the circumstances requiring the on-scene presence of a patrol supervisor. The scope, this procedure shall apply to all Florence Police Department personnel. If you go down to letter D, incidents requiring a supervisor.
Sean just used the term requiring a supervisor. This is a sleight of hand, no different than a street hustler playing Monty with a ball and peanut shells.
Incidents requiring a supervisor, and you go down all the way down to 11, any other incident where a supervisor is requested.
So Reyes is accusing Officer Manley of violating the policy of the Florence Police Department.
Officer Manley, I requested a supervisor. You did not provide one. And you did not provide one while being unprofessional.
Sean, what a flim-flam artist you are. You're claiming that Officer Manley was required to call a supervisor at your request. Yet you ignore the wording in Section C. It says an officer in charge of a situation, which Manley was, may request the presence of a sergeant. May request, not must or is required. May request. So Officer Manley had the option, and he chose not to call a supervisor. And I want every person who supports auditors to understand that every other police department policy includes the same language, may, not must. John Ligato Show is being broadcast from outside the gates of Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune in beautiful North Carolina. If you're enjoying my show, please like, share, and subscribe. Semper Fidelis.